Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. NJ with you going solo after game one between the Leafs and the Lightning at Scotiabank Arena. Mike's doing his Twitter spaces, so you can listen to that and you can watch me. April 18th, 2023. And here we go. This is our first post game of the 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs. The Maple Leafs losing 7-3 to the Lightning. What a fucking joke, right? All of the hype leading into the playoffs, all of the OGs and converts reminding Mike and I that this is the year and that Tampa's vulnerable, a wounded animal. And the Leafs come out and look like garbage in the first period, going down 3-0. I don't care how good you are and in which scenario you're in, going down 3-0 in any circumstance is not a good thing. And the odds are against you in terms of winning that game. And clearly the Leafs weren't able to come back from that, even getting a couple of goals early in the second period to try to uh, rearrange the momentum. But it just wasn't meant to be. Tampa not having any of it. 7-3, going 4 for 8 on the power play, 34 shots on goals, 39 hits, 20 blocks, 9 giveaways. Tampa came to play. Now, in the process, potentially losing Victor Hedman and Eric Chernak, that elbow to the head from Michael Bunting, which, I'm quietly rooting for, but could be a detriment for the team as its aspirations to finally win in the first round, beat Tampa, exercise the demons, took a pretty legitimate hit in the opener. The good thing is game two is at Scotiabank Arena on Thursday, and if the Leafs can somehow split going back to Florida, they still give themselves a chance. I wanted to do this post game, just you and myself. Mike's doing other things right now, just to give you a chance to unload your feelings. There's tons of comments in the chat, and I'm going to go through some of them. I'm going to miss a few. We're going to keep this short and tight, but Mike and I will be back after game two. He will be in the flesh with me. We'll get him away from his Twitter spaces. And if all goes according to plan, the Leafs will at least be even Steven in terms of wins in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But man, that was a shitty opener. Let me start with some of the earlier comments. Scott Whitby out of the Prairies. Well, that was fun. Vespis, first period. What the hell was that? Veets, what a joke. Al M, spectacular failure brought to you by your 2023 Leafs. Get a cold beer, Norm. Patton's angry boy. I'm drinking vodka sodas. How can you not when you watch this team? Again, with so much riding on success in this playoffs, to come out this way is it it's remarkable on one end, but it's not surprising on from another perspective. This team, despite a 111-point season, still leaves so much to be desired. We all know it, right? But the feeling is, Tampa's as vulnerable as it's ever been. At some point, your reign is going to end. The Leafs beat them, in the final couple of games in the regular season. Tampa hasn't played very well over the last few months, so it seemed like things were aligning in the Leafs' favor. And here we go in the opener of the series, 2023 styles. And what the hell? The Leafs fall behind 3-0 in the game and lose 7-3. Rather embarrassing. If you flip back to a year ago, the Leafs destroyed Tampa in game one, 5-0. So there is hope, but I can see that a lot of the naysayers, a lot of those who were the skeptics are riding high right now because they're just wanting this team to fail so that there is an overhaul. And those who have been positive, drumming up support where maybe it wasn't deserved, but just wanting to wave the white and blue pom-poms because that's what you do as a fan when the chips are down and when the team needs you. Knock down a peg tonight, and it's unfortunate that for them. Veets, Norm shouldn't waste his time or ours. This team is going to win the cup. Yeah, right. Veets, brother, relax, paisan. We've kind of got this. And when I say that, I mean, yeah, we've got each other. We've got each other, brother. Maciej Gieskowski, pathetic. Yeah, that was a pathetic way to start. LJ, they should have come out swinging for the third. Sad effort. Here's the thing: Michael Bunting could be suspended, and that's a problem. Um, the Leafs may be losing some guys going forward, and that is going to be an issue. On Michael Bunting, right? Reminds me of the Nazem Kadri incident times two. The team is not designed to be tough and as a layer of the dynamic to be tough, to go and hit, to go and play hard every fucking shift. It's not designed that way. It was designed to be, it was like almost like a computer game. He's good, he's good, he's good. If all these guys are statistically amazing, we will overcome. What wasn't taken into account is that the opposition are human beings, and you can't account for what they're going to give you, right? Nylander's amazing, Matthews is amazing statistically, Marner, Tavares, but you need guys with heartbeats, right? You need a group of players who are going to lead this crew. You can't have rogue players like Nazem Kadri looking around and going, no one else is doing it. So not only am I going to do it, I'm going to overdo it 2 years in a row and be exercised from the opportunity that this team collectively is trying to achieve, and that is to win, because they're overdoing it. Michael Bunting knows he is the guy who has to kind of get people going, and what does he do? He oversteps, throws an elbow. Eric Chernak kind of deserved it, but in this case, 5 minutes and he could be in trouble with the disciplinarians in New York. And if that's the case, then that's the case. But it's guys overstepping because collectively, this is just not in the team's makeup. This is not what they do. They just go out, they try to play their roles, and they try to overcome the opposition with their skill. On most nights, they can, but the great teams have skill and so much more. Look at Boston. They've won a fucking million games this year. And what do? They come out and win 3-1 in their opener. They just win again, right? Don't you think it's their time to finally start to fall a little bit, maybe regress a little bit because it's been so good for so long? No, it's just the Boston Bruins just steamroll through everything. It's just amazing that these guys can do what they do without any kind of falter. Now that the script has yet to be fully written on the Bruins, the same for the Maple Leafs. So the key for them right now is to just expunge game one from their memories and just go back into game two and somehow pull out a win so that going back to Tampa, there's a chance in hell. Anush Patel, Tampa's best players, all play straight line hockey and fight to the net. Our best players, they spin around like ballerinas, and they just kind of play on the perimeter. OG's Converse, that's nothing new, right? I mean, guys like Marner will get their points. Matthews will get his points. Nylander's goal to make it 3-2 was just effervescent, right? And that's a nice way to describe him as a player, but you need more than that. That was a fantastic goal. And coming back 3-2, you thought the Leafs may have a shot, but in general, going down 3-0 in game one of a very pivotal encounter with a rival that not only will lay out the immediate future for this group, but long-term future, to go down 3-0 like that is really super disheartening. And the thing about the Leafs is I we haven't seen anything this year other than just, generally solid play and some nice stuff from Marner, some, from a career year from Nylander. We haven't seen anything to indicate that, yeah, you know what? This year, this year is special. J.A. Scott, um, he didn't show up. That's what I think of Matthews. Well, Matthews did pick up some points. What else do we want Matthews to do? And the question was from Brad Tyndall. What did you think of Matthews? what do we think of Matthews? The thing with him is, he is such an amazing talent. He is such an amazing player, and we've had him since what, 2016, a generational talent, maybe the purest goal scorer in the league since that time. And that's you can argue that till your face turns blue, but statistically, there is a case to be made that Austin Matthews is the best goal scorer of this generation against the Ovechkins, against the McDavids, against the Pasternaks, the Draisaitl's, whomever. But we want more, and we deserve more, and he deserves to give himself more as a player and to prove that he can do more. And at some point, if this team doesn't overcome its first round demons and go on a long run with him at the helm, this relationship will go sour. And we certainly all know it. I'm going to go through a few more comments here. We got 72 people in the chat. I really do appreciate everybody being here. The combo is brought to you by Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. We're running out of cars. If you want something used, you got to get me at me right now. If you want an Escape, I can help you out. Bronco Sport can help you out. F-150 certainly can help you out. Edges, Explorers, nearly sold out, and you're not getting this information from anyone else. So I'm your boy when it comes to hockey talk, and when it comes to the car industry. This is what I do. Mary Jane, Marner was great. Keefe didn't use him enough to start the game. The thing with Marner is he's just used in every scenario. He'll be the guy who's out there to help clinch this thing. He'll be the guy out there in the dying minutes as the Leafs are eliminated yet again to turn the lights off. The thing with Marner is you can be guilty of overusing him because he's just so useful. And if it's just Marner running ragged, it's this team's not going to win. It's a collective. And tonight, the team collectively went thud. I mean, Ilya Samsonov was chased from the game. Joseph Wall finished the game. And how the hell does that install or instill or imprint any kind of confidence in the rest of the group? Like, when does the run for this group, this team, when does the Cinderella run start? Like, that's the thing. We haven't really seen any major momentum happen during the regular season where it just blitzkrieg the competition, took everybody out, and ran roughshod into the playoffs. We didn't see that. Now, game one of the playoffs, the most important playoff of the Kyle Dubas era, 3-0 down in the first period and lose the game 7-3. So what does it start now in game two? And if not in game two, does it start in Florida? Right? That's the thing. We all get on Mike for being such a curmudgeon and being so realistic, but that's what he is, right? It's not like Mike is shitting on a bunch of amazing accolades and door knocking for years at the right at the Stanley Cup penthouse. No, this team hasn't won a first round in its recent incarnation as a Kyle Dubas statistical metric dynamo. It hasn't. And that's why guys like Mike and a lot of other people, you see them on Twitter, who are just so down on this team. And I've personally tried to kind of change my mentality to offset some of the negativity that we get from Mike that is in a lot of ways justified. And here I am. Leafs in 5. Well, they got to win 4 straight. There's all kinds of comments coming in here, guys, and it's 81 people in the chat. I'm not going to stay on too long. I just wanted to let you know that we're going to be doing post pretty much after every single game. And the idea was that we would be doing this stuff into rounds. But after losing game 1 like this, it not only dampens our spirits, but it decreases the odds of Leaf success in this first round. You can't lose a game like that and still be the favorites to win the series. Donald J. Trump 69. That was an embarrassment. And that coming from Donald J. Trump, ladies and gentlemen. NASCAR 427, what would Mike in Buffalo say? Well, you can listen to him on Twitter Spaces right now, and I implore you to listen to him and listen to me. This isn't a competition between he and I. It's just so that you guys have been so good to the combo over this entire season. It's been an absolute blast. I think you deserve another outlet for either your exhilaration or your frustration after the game. Unfortunately, it's the latter in this circumstance. Let's get to a few more comments. Daley Simpson. I'm sick and tired of Bunting falling down all the time, trying to draw a penalty, suspended, and learn nothing for $5 million for him next season. I can't stand a player like that. OG's converts. I mean, what what's the issue with Bunting? I mean, Mike's lauded him all season long for everything he brings that the rest of the team doesn't. Is he all of a sudden detriment? I mean, he overstepped tonight, but is that because he just looked around and saw that no one else was giving a shit? And that's the thing about a player like him. He's almost like a fish out of water. He's playing in a way that the rest of the team cannot, and that the group was designed not to play. So it's like, hey, the rest of the guys are just going to play their systems and play in the robotic fashion, but we're going to have two or three dudes to come out and be real human beings. And in these circumstances, when we are down and we need some kind of energy, those human beings are susceptible to making mistakes. We saw it with Kadri. We saw it tonight with Bunting. And again, it's frustrating, but it's not like Michael Bunting leaving the game or you know taking a penalty. He's the reason why this team lost tonight. No, because it went down 3-0 to start the game, the first period. That's not Michael Bunting's fault. We can look at the entire roster and we can uh, divvy up some blame for just about everybody. I mean, you cannot start a playoff series like that. Not just any playoff series, a very important playoff series, and in the most important playoff series in the Kyle Dubas era, the most important playoff series that the Leafs have been a part of for decades, right? And there were a lot of decades there where the Leafs weren't even in the playoffs. Need more cowbell. The pressure's really on now. You certainly believe that. Need more, of course. Calling it here, Jay Scott. Leafs go down 3-0 and Murray comes back healthy and carries his team to the conference finals. J.A. Scott, you must be a script writer in Hollywood, or you will be at some point. If that's the case, write something up. And if the Leafs can't do it, which they won't, you can still present that to some producer and he'll, produce a B movie for you. But that is quite the scenario. Colin M., the eternal optimist. We won 5-0 game one last year. Meant nothing. See, that's right, Colin. I like Colin. And again, I had mentioned that off the top, but we'll give Colin credit for that. The Leafs won 5-0 last year and still couldn't win the series. What indicates that Tampa will follow suit this year? Coming out gangbusters on enemy ice, 7-3, and then losing this series, right? I mean, the Leafs won 5-0 last year and then fell apart because that was a team that had no nerve, that hadn't won anything, hadn't had any success, didn't know what it was like to succeed. Tampa knows what it's like to be, um, a bit down and out. It has been for the last several months, but it also knows how to come back. It's gone through those grinds. So as much as I'd like to equate one with the other, they may not be as similar as Colin is suggesting it is, and I mentioned it may be at the start of this podcast. Who else do we have in here? O'Hara Young, McCabe with that great hit, then the Leafs stupid penalty. They should get rid of that hit. They should ride of that hit. Look, McCabe's another guy too who it was brought in to be physical. And when you have few guys doing that, almost jumping out of the system to do some things like that, they are susceptible to making mistakes. They are susceptible to going overboard. And that's what happened tonight. McCabe, Bunting, and can you imagine not having those guys on board for the duration of the series and potentially beyond? That's a bad thing. Those guys were brought here and those guys were seasoned here and cultivated and prepped for these moments. So yeah, let's not all jump on Michael Bunting because he, threw an elbow. Let's not all jump on Jake McCabe because he got a little aggressive physically. Those guys were expected to do that, especially when the bulk of the team just doesn't have any physical capabilities, nor do they have any physical interest in engaging with the opposition. Robbie Robertson, the decor failed this early. They took a lot of bad penalties, and that's the thing. Tampa went 4 for 8 on the power play. So that's Tampa did what a playoff team is supposed to do. A successful playoff team is supposed to do, and that is take advantage of a team when they have the man advantage. 4 for 8. Now the Leafs again, 50% as well. 2 for 4, which was fantastic. If this was a game that was 4-3, the Leafs would have been in it. But blowing a wheel in the first period and going down 3-0, I mean, that's just the kiss of death. Like it just like for real. Brad Tyndall, who's got the big OG bucks for tonight? Anyone tossing in a 20? Norm also doing a great job flying solo. Brad Tyndall, you're an absolute beauty. Gregory James, are we related? Are you a real James? I'm the real deal, baby. You know what's funny? When I started at CTV London, or when I was CFBL back in 2002, I came on board. Nobody liked me because I was from out of town, and London was a very insular city. So I was running the sports department, and Norman James, they did as much of an ad campaign as you could back in those days with a limited budget. But I went on billboards and I went on tours. Yeah, I'm the new head of the sports department. Norman James. Everybody asked me, "Are you Pete James's son?" Now, Pete James is like a legend in London. He'd been around forever, right? From the 50s, 60s, 70s. Pete James. So everybody, even today at the car dealership, someone's about to buy a car, and I oblige them, right? As they ask me, "Hey, are you Pete James's son?" And I have to tell them, I'm like, it'd be an honor if I were, and that's just the company line. The thing is, this Pete James guy, his last name isn't even James. It's like some wacky Polish name. He just changes the James because it was a good Anglo broadcasting name that he could, rhyme off. Pete James sounds a lot better than Pete whateverwitz. And I'm the real deal. But people ask me all the time, and so when I meet Jameses, I'm always hesitant to believe that they're the real deal. So Greg, if you are, let me know. We got to start Samsonov game 2, right? Well, I guess, yeah. Why wouldn't you? He's the guy that brung you, and it was just a bit of a shit show. It was a collective shit show. You can't really pin it on anybody specifically. It was a collective effort. And you know what? Another guy who kind of fucked it up was the head coach. And I can tell you right now, guys, whether you like Sheldon Keefe or not, if this team loses this series, he's gone bye-bye, right? It might be him and Dubas together. It may be one or the other, but Sheldon Keefe is gone. He's had more playoff failures with the Maple Leafs than Mike Babcock. And that's the thing. Like, we can blame him. Why isn't this team ready to go? Like, you're at home ice. You have so much to prove. You're down 3-0. I'll admit I wasn't even watching the game for the first 2 goals because I was still at work. Anush Patel, just plain embarrassing. NASCAR 427, love the inside information for sure, for sure. And I love the participation from all of you guys. We're starting to lose some viewers right now because there are better things to do than to listen to me yap. But again, we're doing this for the OGs and converts, so we have more content. And there are going to be people who just watch this broadcast after the fact. Folks, if you're not with us live, just leave a comment below the post, like the post, go into community. I'm going to have some polls, lots of interactivity between now and whenever this playoff run ends. Let's hope it's not in 2 weeks. Let's hope it's in like 2 months. But the Leafs really got to get their shit together. Arnav B, one positive: Tampa lost 5-0 last year and came back to beat us. So yeah, we've kind of gone over that. Tampa's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. They fell behind against the team that didn't know what the hell it was doing and then overcame it in 7 games. The Leafs haven't won shit. Lost 7-3 in the most pivotal game one they've played in recent memory. So it's on to game 2, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on anything, but at some point, guys, even the most optimistic has to be realistic. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. John Howard, enjoy your talking. You are great. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate that very much. Jason T, hit the like button, thumbs up. Al M, Matthews is a marshmallow. You know, I hope that the relationship between the Leafs fan base and Matthews never ends. But if it does, it ends on good terms. It ends with some success beyond what Matthews has done individually. And at this point right now, it's in question. It really is. Don Burrows, this team is just so fragile. It certainly is, Don. You know that. We all know that. This team is fragile. What about this group lends to um, just positivity and lends to the alpha male that you probably need when shit goes crazy and push comes to shove in an incubator type of setting when the chips are down and the clock is ticking. Does this team exude that kind of confidence? It doesn't. It, like man to man, there's so much talent. Right. And I'm again, when I talk this way, I'm really describing the core four. The rest of those guys are just support players. The core four collectively have done nothing other than be fantastic individually. And this is their opportunity to come together as a group and start writing a new chapter of success for the organization. But it started off in a really shitty fashion. Just a few more comments, and I really do appreciate all of the money you guys are tossing in at us. Is Hedman really hurt? Again, if he's hurt and guys like Chernak are hurt, and the Leafs lose some guys to either attrition or suspension. I mean, this is all part of the process, right? You're gonna have guys show up. You're gonna have players who are unsung heroes that really didn't hear much from in the regular season and turn into dynamos in the second season. And then you're gonna have guys who you expected to take you deep fall out because they're hurt. If Hedman is hurt, that sucks for the game. It's good for the Maple Leafs, and the Maple Leafs need as much. They need as much to go right as possible for them to achieve anything. And it started in such a dismal fashion. It really is bothersome. Dale Simpson, we need a Perry. Well, Perry's on the other team, so someone's going to have to become a Perry without getting suspended, playing like a Perry. Greg Knight won't happen if they go to the net. And that's the thing. There's a few guys who are willing to go to the net, but it has to happen with reckless abandon. Ask yourself, guys, why does Boston, we look at the talent on Boston, it's comparable to the Maple Leafs. Why does Boston win so much? Why do we laud Boston? Why do we talk about the Bruins like they're these gods? What is it about their play that is so different from the Maple Leafs? Seriously, what is it about them that makes them so successful, right? They're just aggressive. They play like their hair is on fire. They go to the net. They do the things that need to be done to get the wins, and the wins parlay into general success, momentum. And here we go, a team that's just breaking frigging records in the regular season. You'd think that would show up in the playoffs and that momentum would taper off. No, they come out and win 3-1. It really feels like with Boston, man, that's just a freight train out of control that is unstoppable. On the other hand, you have the Maple Leafs, who still leave a lot to be desired, but we expect more from. They come out in game one and lose 7-3. It really is, Leafy. Mr. Truman does. Tonight's stud will compel the Leafs to come out flying in game two. Why does failure spurn forward success and then it flips again, right? The Leafs really should have come out tonight and won this one, taken game two with just a real dynamic force and a real purpose. It wasn't there. Why? Why? Guys, that's the question we'll all be asking ourselves tomorrow. And again, ask yourself the question about why Boston is so damn good. And I'm not here to pedestalize the Bruins. It's look what they've done. How do you turn around and say, that team, it's the writing's on the wall, or the Reaper lurks. You just have to give it up to them. And more internally, closely, with the Maple Leafs, again, 111-point season, nothing to shake a stick at, but big fucking whoop. We've seen it before, and the playoffs have been a disaster. Here we are in 2023, and nothing seems to have changed. Lou St. Clair, it's coaching. Well, it's just the end of the line for Sheldon Keefe if he can't figure things out. You wonder about his commitment to guys like Justin Hall, right? And he's just it's the 6-12, the 7-11, like can't seem to make up his mind, can't seem to commit to anybody. The players oftentimes are an extension of their head coach. They kind of exude the same personality traits and the same characteristics as the head coach. What is Sheldon Keefe, right? He was the guy who came into calm things down after the Mike Babcock era. He was the guy who was a lot more kosher and a lot more, publicly acceptable compared to that old curmudgeon, that old bastard, the guy who was from another era in Mike Babcock. And all he did was stand behind a bench with a bunch of talented guys who were newly motivated with a fresh look. And he got a lot of the accolades for it. Now, when it's time to actually coach and get these guys to do things years into their relationship, when things are beginning to sour and you have to motivate them in a new way, where is he? Right? Maybe he's bitten off more than he can chew, and Sheldon Keefe has to restart his hockey journey somewhere else after kind of being thrust into the spotlight and pedestalized for a while, and then the chickens have come home to roost on him. Because again, I don't know what kind of leadership has he brought to this group that has helped get it out of problems, or helped to lead it through, or helped to motivate it when motivation was required. Or maybe you just can't motivate the big four, and the rest of the guys are helpless to do anything about it. Because really, at the end of the day, Ryan O'Reilly can be a great two-way guy and a great support guy and be there. Giordano can do what he can at 39 years of age and with all of his tenure, just to help out. Luke Schenn, like, we all know what kind of guy Luke Schenn is. The guy was booed out of Toronto, then was just on a roster and won a couple of titles. Now he's here. What's he going to throw some hits? He's just there as a support player. Brody, Riley, uh, Lafferty, a lot of these other guys, they bring things that weren't there before, but they're all meant to pack on to the greater good and the greater movement that is fueled forward by Nylander, by Tavares, by Marner, by Matthews. And if these cats, if these guys can't find a way to lead the group and pound through all of this adversity, then this group was, it was never meant to be for this group. Individually phenomenal players, but you need more personality. You need more vim and vigor. And collectively, the four of them, I told you, they have the personality of a saltine cracker. And when you get into the playoffs and push comes to shove and the clock is ticking, and every win takes you forward, every loss sets you back, you need more than just guys who are going to tie up their skates, throw on their gloves, grab their stick and play. There's got to be more to it than that. Shockingly, Colin M says Riley played well. Well, yeah, he did. And shockingly, a lot of other guys didn't play too well. We're going to get out of here in just a couple of minutes. I wanted to go through some of the comments of OGs and converts and anybody new to the process that we have here. Michael, use Ben rather than Hall. Sheldon Keefe would quit coaching and take up jai alai, really obscure sport that's played in like Mexico and Spain and south of Florida, before removing Justin Hall from the lineup. And really, we all know it. Wilford Whiskey, Keefe will never coach in the NHL again. I'm not so sure about that. And again, I'm not rooting against them. I'm really not. But come on, 111-point team with some of the greatest talent of this generation comes out in game one of the most important series opener that he's ever coached, that this organization within its current structure has ever played in, and you go down 3-0. I'm sorry, you can't follow the same blueprint as last year, because the team that went down 5-0 in game one came back to win the series because they knew how to win. Right? They had won 2 cups before going into that adversity, and they found a way to win. The team that lost 7-3 tonight's won fuck all. Nothing. K-Dog overplaying Justin Pylon Hall is trying the same thing over and expecting the same results or different results. Can he not finally? Well, wait a minute now. We've been questioning Hall's devotion, or sorry, Keefe's devotion to Hall since like last year, and here we are, right? So look at good on Keefe for staying with his guys, his ride or die, right? I'll tell you right now, if this thing fizzles out, Sheldon Keefe is no longer the head coach of the Maple Leafs when the season's over. It'll be a week, and Kyle Dubas will gas him, and it may be Kyle Dubas gassing Keefe after he stands in front of the board of directors, and either Brendan Shannon's beside him or in the corner, and he's begging for his existence with the Maple Leafs, or he may say, you know what, I've done all I can. Release me, let me go somewhere else and start fresh. And I hate to be fatalistic. I hate to come across this way, especially since the series is still relatively young. But tonight, again, what the hell does tonight make me feel like? And it's the same for a lot of Leafs Nation right now, a lot of converts and OGs. What the hell does this make you feel like? Are you excited after tonight's game? Are you still, pumped up, right? Are you still painting your shitty old Chevy Celebrity blue and white and, decking it out with all kinds of, decorations and pizzazz so that you're going to, cruise down Young and Bay in the next month and a half, 2 months? No, this makes you feel like crap as a fan. Tomorrow at work, you're going to get shit on by people who hate the Maple Leafs. I know it's coming for me, but it's all part of being a fan of a team that has been mired in a string of futility that is legendary. And tonight doesn't help reverse that direction. It helps exacerbate the hate and the angst, and it takes away from a lot of the excitement that we had all ginned up leading into the playoffs after game 82. But game 2 of this series is coming on Thursday night. Mike and I will be here together, and we'll do a post game. Can you imagine, though, OGs and Converse, how the hell this is going to go? If the Leafs are down 0-2 going back to Tampa. Lou St. Clair just subscribed. Lou, I thought you've been with us before this. Wow. Thanks for the shout out, Norm. Of course, anytime. Jim Langdon. Leaf Team Core will win or keep losing. Matthews and Marner are winners with their massive pay. Look, in terms of the regular season, those guys get it done. Unbelievable. But can you imagine in like 15 years when Marner's running a hockey school and Matthews is an actor and stuff like that, and these guys come back and they're talking to whomever the local broadcaster is about all their great time in Toronto, and then it's like, well, you scored a bazillion goals and you guys were poster children for memes, and you were the kings of Instagram, but you never got it done in the playoffs. Does that still leave an empty space inside? And then yada yada yada. That's a potential, right? We see that with a lot of other ex-Leafs, right? And I'd hate for that to be part of their story. And what would be even worse is if a guy like Matthews left the organization and went somewhere else and won titles, right? I would ask them. But again, this is how we collectively feel after the team we love so much and that we've been following all year, and we've done it together every Sunday, uh, loses game 1 of an extraordinarily important series, and not in a tight way, not in overtime fashion where it could have gone either way. They lost 7-3, and they went down 3-0 in this game, and it was just like, come on, guys, like, not again. Like, what the hell did we do as a fan base? Alan Tam, I'm going to throw him out here because Alan is a bit of a troll, but once a Tam, always a Tam. uh Only a game shitty like this has been going on since 1967. Thanks, Alan. We appreciate it. That's what we've been talking about for the last, 40 minutes. Leave it to Alan Tam to rub it in. Andrew Ball Norman, I get that you have Leafs PTSD. Save the dread for later in the series if it's needed. It's game 1. Let's go, Leafs. You know what? Hey, 7-3, we lost, but we're going to get game 2. We're going to head down to Tampa, and we are going to figure this thing out. We're going to win in Tampa. We're going to finally, end this run of futility, get into the second round, Boston doesn't know what it has coming. We're going to take down the Bruins. Whoever we face in the conference final, forget about it. Nylander's going to go nuts. He's going to win a Conn Smythe. The Leafs are going to win the Stanley Cup. See you guys on Yonge Street. How's that, Andrew? What do you think? You love that? I do too, and I wish I could convey that sentiment. I wish I could be that way. All I need is something to believe in. Give me some content to um exemplify success and allow me to catapult into the euphoria that we all want to share. Give me that. Okay? I know it's only game 1, and then it's only going to be game 2, and then hey, you know what? Hey, we've come back from worse. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. Hero. Classic Leaf car, the lemon Chevy Celebrity. Jesus Murphy. The lemon, you know what? I had an 85 Celebrity, really thin steering wheel. It had power windows, so I thought I was a pimp. I loved it. Daryl LeBlanc, disappointed. Unbelievable. Yeah, we're all disappointed. And again, not to be overly, you know, not to share this dread or try to pass it around, but the Leafs did lose 7-3 in game 1 of a very important series. We were all excited about it, and we in the back of our minds, we feared that something like this could happen, and it did. Well, you know what you do? You go back to the drawing board tomorrow, and then you re-energize for game 2. And if the Leafs go back to Tampa tied at 1, who gives a shit how the game's unfolded? They're tied at 1 with an opportunity to go into Tampa, get things done, come back to Toronto, and finally put this thing away. If they go down 0-2, holy shit, man, hit the panic button. And I don't care what anybody says. If this team is in a position to win, we should be cautiously optimistic. If it's in a position to lose and lose badly, we should hit the panic button. Unfortunately, that either outcome could come to fruition. I'm really hoping that it's the positive one, but we've started pretty poorly, and all we can do is react to what we've seen and hope for something better to happen while we still have an opportunity for new things to happen. Because the further down the road this goes, and the more more unfortunate results take place, you're going to run out of time, and the Leafs will be eliminated. And you'll find that the guys who've tried to put this whole thing together will themselves personally, in terms of their involvement with the Maple Leafs, be eliminated. Jim Georgiadis. This is the same story for 6 seasons, Norm. It's all reruns on the Doobie and Keefe show. Makes you miss Mr. Truculence. And again, I did bring up Mike Babcock. Brian Burke was recently fired again for the 50th time. Apparently, this guy's had 100 jobs since he left the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, what the hell? Like, Brian Burke, who gives a shit about what's so big about him? Why does everybody want to hire this guy? I don't understand. And then he gets fired and hired again because of his stupid fucking tie. Like, give me a break, man. After he left the Leafs, they should have realized that this guy was done. And here I am bitching about people who no longer are involved with the organization. It's just really a mishmash of negativity tonight. But when you go down 3-0 in game 1 of such an important series, and then you lose 7-3, this is how we feel. But tomorrow will come, and so will game 2. All right, Robert Hamilton, last one. Keefe got badly out coached again. Hall is this guy, shows his hockey IQ. Right. I mean, wouldn't that be interesting if Keefe gets fired and Justin Hall's still on the team? I mean, what is the next coach going to think of him? Is he going to be in a trance by number 3 as well? Josh Lamers. I was hoping I could enjoy a series win with my kids before I die. Josh, hang in there, brother. Hang in there, my friend. It's not over yet. Arnav B. By the way, props to you for coming out after this crap game for everyone here. Thanks to you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. And again, this is one of the reasons why we brought the convo back for season 5. I just couldn't let it go, right? Like, I'm very busy in the car business, coming out of broadcasting. Like, broadcasting was a dream come true. Unfortunately, they shut down the sports department in London. In your early 40s with a family and a mortgage and your wife working here, it was just no reason to go to Saskatoon to start off as a restart as a videographer. So I had to leave the business. The convo was my life. And I thought about it. It was kind of a shitty season last year for interaction. We weren't doing very well with the numbers, and it's not so much that it was your fault. It was just we were sporadic and we weren't always on. And I thought we would end it right because what was our purpose? But we gave it another go, and this year's been a fucking fantastic ride. We've done really well. And it means a lot to us. So yeah, we're back in business, and even if the Leafs are done, the Leafs Convo isn't going anywhere at all. If Dubas and Keefe are fired, Mike and I won't be fired because nobody can fire us until the last day, until the last viewer, and when the lights go out, we'll be here. All right, I said I was going to go, and I really should. So Greg Knight, thanks Norm for walking me back off the cliff. Greg, take a couple of steps back, sit down, relax, slide as far from the cliff's edge as you possibly can, crack a couple beers. Think about guys like Wendell Clark laying people out, Matt Sundin scoring big goals. Austin Matthews in that 4-goal night to start, Mitch Marner doing his thing. Willie's goal tonight was beautiful. Let's wait till game 2, and then we'll talk after that. And if the Leafs win, we'll entirely pull you away from any position that may cause you harm. Okay, Greg. And then my man Brad Tyndall. This was a masterclass in sports casting. Congrats, Norm. A triple piece. Yes, Brad. You asked me to do this, so I thought I would do this for everybody, but specifically you, man, my friend. I appreciate it very much. Noel Smith, the convo over the Leafs, at least for tonight, yes, and I'm hoping the reverse happens on Thursday. LM, at least you show up, Norm. More than we can say for the Leafs. Okay, I appreciate that very much, guys. Okay, Mike's Twitter Spaces, if it's still going, go check them out. If not, like the content, subscribe to the channel. If you're with us on the rebroad of this post-mortem, we feel your pain, but we will be back in a live way after game 2, and hopefully we'll have a lot more fun stuff to say. New Brunswick, Canada guy, so Canadian. Everybody outside of Ontario is just so Canadian. Come to Southwestern Ontario where everybody hates everybody, and we're we're ashamed to be Canadians, but secretly we love Canada. Outside of Canada or Ontario, everybody loves this darn country, and we do too. We love the country of the Toronto Maple Leafs nation, but unfortunately right now we're not feeling too good about ourselves. Norman Mike can replace Shanahan and Dubas. Wouldn't that be something? The comments keep coming, but it's time to go. Brandon Copeland, sup Norm? What is up? Oh geez, conference. Go have a great night. Start fresh tomorrow. We'll see you on Thursday, and hopefully its series is tied at 1 apiece, and we'll get ready to go into Tampa with reckless abandon. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for being here.